Hello everybody, my name is Tony Grillo. Welcome to my channel, Wisconsin Hugs. And last night I did a video. I broke my rule and I made a video late at night when I was probably a little bit tired and had been working a full day. And I even threw some math in there, and I realized I also had pronounced Tyre Nichols' name wrong. I kept calling him Tyre Nichols. And so I apologize for that. I know better than to make videos late at night. And there was some things that I forgot to include because my videos started to get pretty long. I didn't realize I went into the 30-minute area. I just wanted to do like a 10-minute video. But I did mention, this story here that was in the Washington Post about Black Americans are killed at a much higher rate than white Americans by police officers. And this does not count for justified killings or self-defense killings by the police. This is just straight out, people being killed by the police. And they had this article had come up with a number of 5.9 per million per year. And then white non-Hispanic was 2.3 per million per year. And I had questioned that number. I wasn't sure if that number was correct or not. Some people have said it's as high as 71 per million, and maybe I can find that for you. Okay, here's another story. This was I don't think I showed this one. This kind of quotes that gets up there to that number close to 71. But this was from the decennial census, and they said black people are 2.9 times more likely to be killed by police than white people in the U.S. And they had the police killings per 1 million people in the U.S. between, okay, see, now they did it between 2013 and 2022, which I got to tell you, I don't think those numbers are correct, because the reason being is you are tallying 9 years worth of death, but then you're dividing it by a number. What number are you using to divide it by? You're using the same population in 1 year, and I don't find that logical. I don't, to just use one constant number for 9 years worth of data, and that's how you come up with your number. You just divide it by the same number. That number, that's misleading, because you have to look at it per year is what you need to do. You need to, so that you can get a better idea of what are the numbers that occur per year. And so that's why they had 67, because they had a lot more killings, 67 per million. But you can't say, I know that's one way to do it, but what are they using as the devising number? I know for a fact they kept that number constant. They're using the same number for a period of 9 years, and they haven't fluctuated that. That number, the bottom number, should actually be that number times 9. Okay, that's the way it should be if you're going to get a real accurate reading of what the percentages of black people that are more likely to be killed by police than white people. But I did my own numbers, and I thought I would show that to you. Okay, so this is my estimation, and the way I'm doing it is I'm gonna try to give you my best answer and numbers, and then let's see if it's true, if we can actually honestly say there is a racial inequity here. Okay, so I went on the census, okay, And sorry for my messy handwriting, but I'm doing this in my semi-truck. Okay, so right here, we have, last year we had 332 million people in the United States, okay? And out of that, we were able to figure out with the percentages that whites, for white people, 59% of the population is white people or white people alone, okay? So that puts it at 249 million. Black people make up 13% of the population. And so that puts them at 43.160 million, okay? And then we know that 49.5% of that population is men. It's almost a 50-50, men to women. And so I'm able to calculate that there is 123 million white men, and that there's 21 million black men. Now, between the ages of 18 to 65, using the U.S. Census, 55.5% of those people make up that age, okay? 55.5. And I figured this is most likely the age of the people that are getting killed by the police. Fall somewhere in that age group. I'm not going to say 5-year-olds. I don't want to include 5-year-olds in there because I don't think they're being killed by the police, and I don't think 70-year-olds are being killed by the police, okay? So I cut it to 18 to 65 because that's, when I was looking at the percentages, that's the way the U.S. percentages broke it down. I wish I could have gone 18 to 40, but I don't have that information from the U.S. Census as to exact population, so I had to rely on this. But, you know, using that number, we have 68 million white men between the ages of 18 to 65, and we have almost 12 million black men between the ages of 18 to 65. Now, in 2022 deaths by cops, we have white people, where there were 374 white men that were killed by cops, and then black men that were killed by cops, 220. Now, if we take 374 of those white deaths and we divide it by, I'm going to divide it by the people that I think are most likely in the category to be killed by the police, and that would have been the 68 million white people, that white men between the ages of 18 to 65. I'm going to take that number, divide it, and then I'm going to multiply it times a million. That comes out to be about 5.46 deaths per million, okay, per year, okay? And if I take 222 black, actually, why did I come up with 222? Actually, it's 220, but we'll go 222. I'm not going to change my math here. And divide that by 11.8 million, and then multiply that times 1 million. Now, this number was a little surprising to me. That does come out to be 18.55 deaths per million, okay? And if you look at those two numbers, you know, that article was trying to say that, you know, black people are 2 times more likely to be killed by police than white people. Well, actually, my numbers say it's more like 3%, over 3 times. I'm sorry, not 3%, more than 3 times likely to die. Black people have, that's my number, 18.55. And then if you take that number, you know, for whites, and you want to compare it to like 1,000 per 1,000, all you do is you just divide it by 1,000, because 1,000 times 1,000 is a million. And so you divide that by 1,000 and you get 0.00546. And if you get, for black people, 18 to 65, you get 0.01855 per 1,000. So, you know, it's not one per 100. It's not even 1 per 1,000. And according to my numbers, it's not, you know, people like to quote, you know, like 5 per, almost 6 per 1,000. But my numbers aren't saying that at all. It's not even 1 per 1,000. But still, you know, you look up at here, and that article does make a point. It's a point that I can't refute. Do I think it's the major factor? I don't believe so. But there is some evidence right here, according to these numbers, that do support that theory, that it is a possible theory, possible explanation. Now, I found this interesting picture here, and what they've done is they made a color-coded United States map showing people in the 49 states and the District of Columbia. We don't have Hawaii, or no, we don't have Alaska in there, but that were killed in 2022 so far. Okay, so I don't know if that includes, you know, other years, which I think it probably does. But, you know, the redder the state is, that means the more killings, the more police killings they've had. So it is interesting. Yeah, Alaska is there. Okay, Hawaii must not be in there. Alaska is actually a darker red, and you know, you would think that would be a more Caucasian area. I don't know what the statistics are over there, but that does surprise me. Looks like the two darkest states we have are New Mexico and what is that? Is that Colorado? Must be Colorado right there. Those two states appear to be the reddest states, where the most people that are killed in those two states. And I thought primarily those were also Democratic states, but I'm not entirely sure on that. Then we have other states. You know, I thought like Seattle would be a lot redder. I thought Chicago, I mean, every day we hear about, now this is police killings, you know, so, I mean, you hear about shootings in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and you hear about it in Chicago, Wisconsin. It seems like it's occurring almost every day. It would be interesting to overlap the violent shooting crimes versus the police shooting people crimes. But you know, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Chicago has the least. They're almost, you know, they're like a very light pink. And then you have some of the other states, you know, Florida, same way. They're not very much, but above Florida and Georgia, you know, that's a state that has I believe a heavier black population. There are a lot more shootings there. But you know, New Mexico, I would think that'd be more of a Latino white area, and that's like dark red. In Colorado too, same thing with Colorado. Colorado is, you think of Colorado, you think that it's more of a you know, a white majority state, you know, and that's like really dark. It's like, according to this, the police there are killing, you know, those are the two states that are having the most trouble out there with the police killing people out there. I don't know if they're also very high crime areas, you know, and the police are fighting for their lives, you know, maybe. Another state, you'd think New York would be like a dark red. No, New York is not a dark red. And DC, I would have thought DC, same thing, but they're kind of just a darker pink. So I just thought I'd take a quick look at these months. We'd scan the months. Like, my birthday is February 10th, and like every day during that week, at least 3 or more people were killed every day. And we had one day in March that nobody was killed. We had one day in May, nobody was killed. One day in June, nobody was killed by police. It looks like the 4th of July, nobody was killed by police. That's great. That's fantastic. I think October was the best month. Had three days, and excuse me. And Halloween might have been one of them, and in November, Thanksgiving. But yeah, look at this. But it's like 70%. Looks like 70% is like red. Like, so almost every day there's like somebody that's been killed by the police. And, so the question is, why is this happening? Is it young people not respecting police officers? Is that what's going on? Because, yeah, my numbers did point out there might be an argument or a case to be made for racism, but I don't think that's the sole thing. That's the sole reason. I mean, Tyre Nichols was a black man killed by 5 black police officers, and that definitely isn't racism. And here's the thing: the police said that they pulled him over on a traffic stop, and they claim he got into an altercation. And hopefully their shoulder cameras show all this stuff, and we'll get to see the entire story. And then he took off. Apparently he fled. And so when they said they pulled him over, he was several minutes from his house. And then when they caught up to him, he was only like 100 yards from his house. And he kept saying, "I just want to go home. I just want to go home." And then they beat him, that was just... So I don't know what. They chased him down, and then, they got mad because he ran. I don't know. We'll just have to find out what really happened there. Yeah, here's a picture here where they use that 67 number, but that is between years 2013 and 2022. But what do they use as the common denominator? They use the same number for 1 year. So this number is misleading. It is misleading, but I came up with 18.55 deaths per million for 1 year. For 1 year. So that's still too much. 18 deaths. That's still too much per million. I mean, I did not include this picture yesterday, but these are apparently the 5 police officers. And they're all going to be, they're all going to be on trial here for the death of this young man, 29-year-old man who just so senseless. Well, this is an interesting article right here. Among men of all races, ages 25 to 29, police killings are the 6th leading cause of death, according to a study by Frank Edwards of Rutgers University. He put it at 1.8 deaths per 100,000 people. My number that I came up with was 0.019 if you round it up per 1,000 people. But here's the thing. If you look at that number and then you compare it to the biggest causes of deaths for black people at that age group, 25 to 29, and my category was even bigger. Mine was 25 to or 20 was 20 years old to 65, I believe, was my category. Let's see if I got it right. It was ages 18 to 65. So I had even a bigger category than what he was dealing with. So I have no idea where he came up with 1.8. What he did was he took all the deaths of black people, and then he used the same common denominator again. Everybody comes up with, when you screw around with the numbers, you can come up with any number you want. But even his number, when you compare 1.8 or my number 0.019, it doesn't compare to, the biggest cause at 76.6 deaths per 100, which is accidents and drug overdoses. I wonder why they didn't separate that. You know, and then you got suicide, which is at 26.7, and you have homicides 22, heart disease 7, and cancer at 6.3. I don't think what it is. It's a headline grabber. It's an attention grabber. People, if you don't look at the numbers, you just look at the headlines. If you just look at the headline on that, then all of a sudden people are going to sit there and go, it's the 6 leading police killings are the 6 leading death cause of black people, of black men. Yeah, I don't think they made the case. I really don't, because when you compare that number to the other numbers, it's the lowest. Cancer is 6.3, and then way down there at 1, you got police deaths. I don't think you make the case. And their number is very suspect. My number is probably more accurate. And I don't even hit 1. I'm at 0.019 per 1,000. So, I don't think they make the case. And I just thought I'd throw this in as my final graph. I found this. I don't know where I found this. U.S. Census. Yeah. The U.S. Census Bureau. This comes from them. So, percentage change in race groups between 2010 and 2020. So, we saw that white people had a change of about, 300? Is that 300%? Between 2010. We saw blacks went up about 100. We saw that American Indians went up. And then we saw Asians kind of went up. Race alone, they have race in combination or race alone. So whites actually, so if I look at this again, race alone, whites actually had a 0% change in race groups in 10 years from 2010 to 20. Yeah, if you look at this right here, because this group, this one right there is just white alone. And this is white in combination with somebody. So whites they haven't changed at all. But whites mixed has gone up 300%. And it looks like everybody that is mixture of some kind, they have all shot up. And so I don't know. There's probably some overlap between the categories. And then we have some other race, and look at that combination is just way up there, shot up to 700. And then 2 or more races alone, that shot up 300. So almost the same percentage as white mixed with somebody. So I thought that was interesting. So what does that mean? That means, and same with black people too. Black Americans, they barely had any percentage change from 2010 to 2020. So they were the same as whites, And so it looks like the mixed races are the ones that are rapidly expanding in all categories, And so I just thought I'd throw that in there. So, in conclusion, is there an argument? Can a case be made that racism, systemic racism, is a part of this? Police killings? According to the numbers, the way I did my numbers, you can make the case. Black people between the ages of 18 to 65 have 3 times more likelihood of being killed than a white person. Yeah, you can make that argument. My numbers seem to support that conclusion. Is it the only? Is it the only theory? No, it's not, because you have, Tyre Nichols, who was killed by 5. He was a black man killed by 5 black officers. So, no, that can't be. The racism alone is not the answer. There's probably other categories too. I did talk about this yesterday. I talked about age. Apparently, 55% of the people that were killed by cops were young people. People between the ages of 20, I think it was like 25 to 40. And I did show the numbers too yesterday where the murder that's done by people that are over that are like 20 to 25 years old, the murder rates have gone up. So you have murder being committed by that age group has actually been escalating, and the number of police shootings involving people in that age group is 55%. So is there a correlation there? Yeah, there might be. It could be some other factors too, that there may be the younger generation, even though they seem to not be committing as many violent crimes as I had thought they were doing. All the crime rates have gone down, like robbery and assault and everything else. Those rates have all gone down with younger people, but murder has gone up. And police shootings involving people of that age is 55%. So if you're between the ages, of 18 to 40 or whatever it is, in that age group, that younger, 20 to 25, if you're in that age group, you're 55% more likely to be shot by a police officer. So you should know that. You should realize that. And if you're a black person in that age group, yeah, you also 3 times more likely. So in all, you better show some respect to police officers. You don't want to be mouthing off. You don't want to resist. You don't want to get angry with them. You don't want to yell at them. You want to be very respectful. Respect's a two-way street. You just respect them, they will respect you. We shall find out if Tyre did start a fight with them. If he was angry because he just wanted to go home, he got pulled over. He was pissed off about being pulled over. He got in an altercation. He resisted. He got angry. He took off running. He ran home, and the police caught up to him, and they chased him down, and they were pissed at him because he didn't respect their authority, and they beat him to death. I mean, was it right? No, definitely not right. But we'll find out if that's exactly what happened. And yeah, those police officers should all go to jail for murder. They'll probably get, what, second-degree murder? Yeah, I totally in favor of that.